step red test. Here is the outline of my presentation. I will present first of all the introduction of my work, its importance, and then I will explain the step red test procedure, analysis techniques, and then I will show the step red test which was run on equiper systems. And at the last but not least, I will present the conclusion. First of all, let me explain the introduction. This work was done in the framework of a project. The purpose of this work was to determine the critical pressure using step red test. Although step red tests have been frequently performed for the last several years in oil and gas industry, but here for the first time we applied this technique to equiper system, and we used guardum. And in this work we have presented a methodology to remove the non-linearity in case of reagent injection in equiper systems. Then we have presented a relation between injectivity index and injection flow rate. In this work we were trying to make a bridge in environmental engineering and petroleum engineering. So for that we have studied the theory literature of well testing, reservoir engineering, and have been extended to equiper systems. The determination of step red test plays a major role in oil and gas industry as well as in environmental engineering. In oil and gas industry, we inject different types of fluid in order to enhance the oil recovery. So for that, if you don't know the exact value of critical pressure, and we do injection above critical pressure, so it can produce early breakthrough of injected fluids, force-leak efficiency, reduce oil recovery, and loss of costly fluid can be occur. On the other hand, if you do injection far below critical pressure, so we can reduce the oil recovery. Similarly, in environmental engineering, we inject different types of reagent in order to remediate the contaminated aquifer. So for that, if we don't know the exact value of critical pressure, and we do injection above the critical pressure, so we can fracture the medium, and the fluid delivery along preferential path can be occur. And on the other hand, if you do injection far below critical pressure, it will result in combination delivery of reactants. Now, what is step red test? Step red test is a type of injection test where fluid is injected into well in a constant and stepwise way from low to high flow rate, as we can see in the figure. And the corresponding pressure of injection is increased in the injection well. It is mainly used to find out the critical pressure. Some other properties like permeability of the reservoir and scale factor can also be found. Now, what is critical pressure? Actually, critical pressure is the pressure at which fracture can be occur in underground formation. It is the sum of minimum in situ rock stress and tensile strength. As we can see in the figure, when we start injecting the fluid in a stepwise way, increasing the flow rate of the fluid, as a result, the reservoir hydrostatic pressure will start to increasing and will reach to a high value where it can crack the underground formation. At that point, and the corresponding pressure to that point is called the critical pressure. Now, how will we carry on these test procedure? So before starting to inject the fluid into the injection well, we will shut in the well for long enough time so that the well flowing pressure becomes stable and equal to the formation pressure. And once it's stable, then we start the injection in a stepwise way, increasing from low to high flow rate. A constant flow regulator must be needed to control the flow rate. And the time required for each step depends on the formation permeability. If the formation permeability is smaller or equal to 5 millidarcy, the time required for each step should be 60 minutes. And if the formation permeability is greater or equal to 10 millidarcy, the time required for each step must be 30 minutes. Injection flow rate and corresponding pressure is measured and recorded continuously during the test. So once we get the injection flow rate and the corresponding injection pressure, then we will apply different analysis techniques in order to find out the critical pressure. So here we have applied two techniques. One is P versus Q method, and the second one is injectivity index analysis method. In the P versus Q method, we assume a steady state Darcy flow, which is based on this equation. So during each step, the injection must continue until a steady state is achieved. So once we achieve the steady state during each injection step, then we will draw a graph between the injection flow rate and injection pressure, and it will give a constant slope straight line. So when the point where this slope, this constant state slope line is changing, that point is called the critical point, and the corresponding pressure to that point is called the critical pressure. And the injectivity index analysis method, we draw a plot between injectivity index and injection flow rate. The injectivity index remains constant till critical pressure, as we can see in the figure. Once we get the critical pressure, the injectivity index starts to increase sharply. So here is the site where we did two types of injection step rate test. One was using with water, and the second one was using gorgum. And on the left hand side we have the site with all the equipment which we used during the test. And on the right hand side we have the design of the well which were used for these types of tests. So in the water injection step rate test we used a loop pump for the injection of fluid, and an electromagnetic flow meter was used which were recording the flow rate. 3 steps were performed. 4 steps were performed, and the corresponding pressure was measured to pressure transducer, as we can see in the red line. So once we get the injection flow rate and the corresponding injection pressure data, then we applied those two analysis techniques which I just explained. In the P versus Q method, since there is no change occur in the slope of the constant straight line, so it indicates that we didn't yet get the critical pressure. And similarly, in the injectivity index analysis method, the injectivity index is almost remain constant with the injection flow rate, which indicate that we, in this water injection step rate test, we didn't yet get the critical pressure. Then we did the gorgum injection step rate test, but before going to explain the gorgum injection step rate test, let me explain the property of the gorgum. The gorgum is obtained from a plant in a powder form. Then aqueous medium is added into it. It's filled in a gel-like solution form. The viscosity of the gorgum depends on molecular weight. As we can see in the figure, when we are increasing the concentration of the gorgum, its viscosity is increasing. And it is a shear thinning fluid, as we can see in the figure. Its viscosity is decreases as we increase the shear rate. So this shear thinning property of the gorgum is a desirable property for us because we can inject it into low permeability reservoir at high flow rate with low pressure drop. So keep in mind those property of gorgum. We use this gorgum in the injection step rate test, and we perform 3 injection steps using the loop pump, and the corresponding pressure was measured through pressure transducer, as we can see in these lines. These are the pressure, and here it is the injection flow rate. This data was given during the test, and for the simplicity, we have made another graph. The red dotted line showing the injection flow rate, and the corresponding pressure is in blue line. So, before going to apply those analysis techniques, there was some non-linearity in the gorgum because viscosity is not constant, and it is dependent on the radial distance from the well. So it was a problem for us. So to removing this non-linearity, we have applied a simplified method here. As you can see in these two graphs, in this graph, as you can see, when the distance from the injection will go right, from the injection point is increasing, its viscosity is also increases. But on the other hand side, as you can see, when the distance from the injection point is increases, its flow rate is decreasing. So both of these properties are inverse to each other. So when we multiply both of these property and draw a graph with the injection flow rate, so we got a straight line. So up to this point, we got an idea that using these two properties in multiplication and drawing a graph with the injection flow rate, so we can remove this non-linearity. Then we applied those analysis techniques with some modification, which I just explained. And in the injectivity index analysis method, as we can see, during the second step, there is a sharp increase in the injectivity index. So it indicates that in the second step we have achieved the critical pressure. And similarly, in the P versus Q into viscosity method, in the second step, the slope of the straight line is changing, and indicates that in the second step we have got critical pressure. And in the conclusion, the method developed for the analysis of step rate test using Newtonian fluid was modified for our work, and we have extended it to the aquifer system, and we use the non-Newtonian fluid Gorham, and we applied this technique to the field, and we were succeed in this. And I have published a paper on this work. Here is the link of the paper, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. Any questions? Please, please.
I have a very short question. You have presented your modified method for the analysis of the application was now, for instance.
Yes.
Do you think you can apply it also directly to reservoir engineering, this procedure?
Yes, we can apply.
Because the equations are...
Because actually this work was, we used the theory and literature of the reservoir engineering, and we have applied this to the aquifer system. So we can use it also in the reservoir engineering, because all the literature and the theory we have taken from the reservoir engineering.
My confidence for the war, but I want to understand what is your personal contribution, your own contribution in the activities? Is everything is made by you, or in the research group, or what is your contribution?
Yeah, it was a research group like Tiziana Tosco, Rajendra Sethi, and two other PhD students were with us. So actually, they did the test, and then I applied these methods because I was a petroleum student. So they told me that study the theory of petroleum engineering and apply those techniques to this data and retrieve the critical point and critical pressure, and then I applied these techniques and I do some modification in case of carbon injection, and we were succeeding.